Guten Tag and hello. Welcome back to the Märklin Outsider. I am Anthony Dodge, and it is nice to be with you again. We have not had an episode aired in about 5 weeks because for 3 of those weeks, my wife and I were in Germany traveling on vacation, as we do almost every summer. Maintaining our Märklin digital program, which I've been talking about, I want to show how easy it is to make your turnouts, your switches, your points digital, because the Märklin digital system makes it a snap. 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most on the outside, and your turnout is digital. So anyhow, let's get into it. Let's show you how to make your turnouts digital. So to motorize and digitalize your turnouts, you need 3 things. You need a turnout. You then need the motor. And then to make it digital completely, you need a decoder. So here's a turnout. The Märklin C-Track basic turnout. As I demonstrated in a previous video, this is the equivalent of 188 straight, and this is a radius 1 curve. We have the manual control lever, and if I switch this tab back and forth, you see it working. But the Märklin digital system with C-Track allows for some wonderful things. With this pre-built ballastine base, it allows you, instead of having to drill under the table and run wires under the table, it gives you space here to put in both a motor and a decoder and wire it straight to the pins here that connect to the power source, because the power runs through these pins here and through the metal plates. So it's all here. No buying point motors and sticking them under the table and having to adjust the pin and make sure it's right. It's all here for you. All right, let's look at the second part. When you unbox a Märklin motor, this is the newest one, the 74492, it comes set up like this. You have the motor, you have this very long wire, which you won't need with the decoder. And then you get a little package of accessories, and these, once your turnout is completely digital, these little caps, you can do it different ways. They give you point motor control things, and you fit them over here. You also have a point here where you can add switch lights if you want, or you can cover these up. But you'll basically pull this lever out, because you won't need it, and you'll put one of these different types of caps on it. There's a couple of different types here, including the point motor cap in there. I don't want to take these out because I'll more than likely lose them. But you have these parts. However, that's only 2 parts. The third part, and this is the 74462 decoder. This is their standard decoder that goes with almost all their turnouts. They have a couple of special decoders for more elaborate turnouts. Your 3-way turnouts, your long diamond cross. They have different decoders for those, but this is your primary decoder. And when you get the decoder, you get obviously an instruction booklet as always, and you get your decoder. When you open up the decoder package, you get the decoder with this wire attached. You get this, which is the powering wires that will connect to the decoder. And you get these red, white, and blue wires, which you don't need. Again, you get stuff you don't need because you have the option, you have the option of different ways you want to set this up, but I'm going with the basic, simple decoder system with Märklin Digital, the way it's designed to be easy. So the first thing you do is forget this, set it aside. You can save it if you want, but you take the motor. Because we are going completely digital, this wire is for connecting to an M84 box, because you're not going to use a decoder. But you take that off and you do it gently. Now, because I've got the camera in front of me, I'm going to pause and separate these so I can make sure I do it carefully. Alright, so now I've separated them. Set this aside. Keep it. It's wiring. You can always use it for something else, depending on how you like to recycle things. So now I've got the 4 pieces I need. I've got the motor. I've got the turnout. And I've got the decoder. The first thing we do, and again, there's no law of which way you have to do this, but you take the decoder and you take this power line. On the decoder, you have a little box here. The power system plugs into that box. So we just plug the power system in there like that. Okay? This green, blue, and yellow line fits in to where that black, red, and yellow line were originally, because now you're running to the decoder. And again, I'm doing this through the camera, so got it upside down. That's why you do it off camera, but I like to show you what we're doing. And you just pop it in. Now you're ready to go. The next step is, you have 2 ways to go. You can go ahead and connect it. When you flip over your turnout, there is a section here. If you were to play with the tab underneath, you'll see there's a little sliding pin. I'll try to show that right there. If you can see that pin sliding in out. You will take the motor, and with these little holes on the motor, the little metal tabs there, those will go over. First of all, catch that pin, catch that slide pin, and then make sure these holes on the motor, these little metal tabs on the motor, line up with the spots, and you will screw these in. You get a couple little screws, you will screw them in. The decoder fits in next to it, and there's a series of pins, and make sure this little bit here is out. And there are 3 little pegs. 1, let's see if you can see them. 1, 2, and 3. There's 3 little pegs, and you just gently put the decoder on those pegs and just push them in ever so slightly, and they will hold. Don't force it, you'll crack the board. Now, I'm not going to install this completely now because I want to demonstrate one last thing to you and then show you the thing in action. On your decoder, so I'm going to take this all out, you have a little system here, and I'm going to turn it over so you can see it. You have a little pin system here. This is where you set the address. Setting the address is very important. And to set the address, you use the instruction book in the decoder. And in the instruction book, they have pages of addresses. For example, if you want to set it up, let's switch it around. You want to set it to address 1, it tells you how to set it up on the old analog system, or on the decoder, you press 1. Everything's binary, off, on. So, it says you want 1 on. For 2, you'd click 2 on. For 3, you'd click 1 and 2 on, and you leave everything else off, and it goes all the way up to whatever. My advice to you is have a system. For example, and so they don't conflict with anything else in my system, I start at 100 for the right-hand turnouts and 200 for the left-hand turnouts. So my left-hand turnouts are 200, 201, 202, 203, 204. My right-hand turnouts are 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. So that's the amazing part of the system. So you just use, I would suggest you could use a toothpick or anything else, and you just program your address on here. Again, let this focus, and you can see you have 1 through 10, and you just, on is up. And so you just pick your address, and then you flip the switch. I mean, if you got small fingers, it's probably easy to do with small fingers with fingernails, but I use a very small flathead screwdriver or toothpick, and you just pick your address. Once that's all done, there's one last thing you should do, and Märklin hooks you up with that as well. I'm getting into the bag here. Write the address down on one of these stickers they provide you and stick it on the motor. So I take the motor, I put it here. Now I know this is a right-hand turnout, and it is my 5th right-hand turnout, so it's going to be 105. Pardon my sloppy writing, but I am writing around a camera and looking at the screen to make sure it's on screen. So I know I'm going to set this to 105. I go to the instruction book, and on this page you can see to set address 105 I need 1, 4, 6, and 7 to be in the on position. Don't worry about how does that make 105. It's binary. Don't worry about it. Just click the ones you're supposed to click. So 1, 4, 6, and 7, and I've got it upside down. So we have 1, this is so much easier to do when you're not trying to do it through a camera screen. 6 and 7. This is now programmed for address 105. So I'm going to install it off camera and come back. Now, once you have that done, you just do what you can. Don't worry about this wire too much. It's now ready to go into your layout. Now, one thing I do want to point out that I didn't mention earlier, but again, I'm talking Märklin Digital, so I don't consider these other points as much. These decoders can work in DC as well. You can buy these and put them on DC track that's pre-bedded, or you can try to wire them under your table or whatever else. But the difference is where it says 10 in the off position is for Märklin, Motorola, or MFX operation. Click it up, it becomes a DC chip. So once you put this in a layout, you then use your mobile station or your central station to locate it. And once you locate it, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, you're ready to go. So I will connect it to my test track here and let you see it in operation. So I have installed this turnout with the decoder. And remember, we set the decoder to address 105. I've done nothing else to it. I connected it, as you saw in the demonstration, and then I turned the camera off so I could install it onto my test track here. But that's the turnout. I've done nothing else. Now, if you're using the Central Station 3, what I'm about to show you will be a little different. But you would use the drop-down screen on the Central Station 3 and go into your again, you'd use the same symbol, but I'll show you on the mobile station. Now this is my old mobile station. It's gray, not black. I use this for my test track. I have a programming track, but I also have a test track just so I can demo things or work on things without it being involved in Central Station 3. And again, I apologize for bumping the tripod. All right, so I'm currently on the train. If I hit stop, I'm in stop mode. I can't do anything with my accessories in stop mode. So I take it off stop mode. I'm in train mode. That's this symbol right here. So there's that turnout symbol. And you'll look for that same symbol on your MS3, except your MS3 will automatically read the address of the decoder, and it will list it on the display screen in your drop-down mode on your Central Station 3 as the address. But we set it for 105. But on the mobile station, I click. This says keyboard. That really is probably a poor name for it. It should just say address. If it said address, this would be slightly easier. Still easy. But keyboard is the address, and they have 2. And when they scroll through, they scroll one at a time. So it'll be 1, 2, and then if I hit this button up here, I'll control directions with this button. Now I'm going to go backwards for a second, just so you can see. It goes all the way up to 320. Your Central Station goes up to 560. I could be wrong, but literally you have room for 320 addresses. Anyhow, let's go back. So there it is. 1 and 2 is on the left. Now, or 1 is on the left, 2 is on the right. Now 2 is on the left, 3 is on the right, and so forth. Now I can keep scrolling through this, and it will take me forever to get there. Or I simply hit Shift and use the knob and do fast scroll. Now this, depending on how fast you click it, skips up at long intervals. And again, remember, I set it for address 105. So here we go. Everything good. If I hit listen for it to change. Red means it will turn off. Green means it'll go straight. So you can hear it, but now let's see it. Is this not so much easier than all the work you have to do to install a motor that you're either going to run bus wiring to and control with a toggle switch somewhere on your control board, or that you're going to control manually? The only thing that is simple is straight manual control, and that involves having to walk over and change the points. Now, if you got a small layout, that's not an issue. You got a bigger layout, that's a pain in the butt. 5 minutes, 6 minutes, you are digital with a turnout. You wire up your turnouts, you put in the decoder, you've got the motor. The only downside on this is expense. Now, I bought this stuff in Germany. I paid about $16, so what is that, about 12 pounds, 13 euros for the motor. We pay about 20, let's say about $26, $27, about 25 euros for the digital decoder. It is more expensive, obviously. But when it comes to all the time saved, the dropping of lines, the soldering, and then making sure it all works. And that's before you then buy the motor, and which motor do you put in? Which company's motor do you put in? How are you wiring it? Connecting it to all the other bus wiring. This is one turnout, it's one address, it's plug and play. While everybody else is still waiting for their soldering iron to heat up, you're in and running your trains and changing tracks and lines. It's that easy. So that is how to digitally set up a turnout with the Märklin digital system. I will see you in the next episode. So until then, I would say, Auf Wiedersehen, bis bald, happy modeling.